He talked about the prison industrial complex as an epidemic, destroying communities of color. He also spoke very briefly about his work around mass incarceration and slavery. He integrated early blues form like blues shouts, call and response, complaint calls, work songs, spirituals, and how it relates to social justice. He also integrated prison blues, history of prison, Rockefeller drug laws. Discussion 2 was an overview of the prison industrial complex and the school to prison pipeline, Black prison movement and immigrants, with the focus on incarcerated women. And we also integrated Bessie Smith.
That statement. And the third line is a response, or the sort of the statement or call response, and that came out of work songs. And so that's what we do. It's the foundation of all American music: rock and roll, hip hop and soul, funk, country music, hip hop in the sense of its rhythmic organization. And so every musician that plays American music has to be in some sense connected to the blues. Freedom of expression, improvisation, inflection, that sort of blues shout form of communication. That is the most important part right there. Any other observations?
Oh, similar to what you said, it's conversation.
Conversation, communication.
Yeah,
abstract, because we're not using words, but we're using feeling. Inflection. And then with the blues, it's really that pursuit of freedom, tension, and release. That's the easiest way to describe the blues. Tension, release.
A story.
A story. It came out of griot, African form of storytelling, not written down, but full of character, some triumphant, some tragic, and that's the essence of the blues. How do you get through tragedy and become triumphant? The sense of hope, sparkling optimism, no matter if you're dealing with a Katrina-type flood, as Bessie Smith talked about in her blues, Backwater Blues. Well, the reason why I would like to start off with the blues, because the earliest prison songs were blueses. The earliest ones by Bessie Smith, Mamie Smith, Trixie Smith, all Smith's last name, but their last name. Leroy Carr, the male blues singers, Alberta Hunter. And why was that the case? Well, these records that first came out were called race records. They weren't supposed to be for the black community. And they sang about what happened in their life. They had this freedom. The blues allowed them to sing about abuse, about sexual abuse, about everything that was happening behind closed doors, had been hidden from society. Through these early blues songs, we were talking mostly by black women for the first time who had a voice that they never had before in American society, singing about love and love lost and sexuality, and sometimes homosexuality at a time when that was just unheard of, singing about prison life, Sing blues, Send Me to the Electric Chair, Workhouse blues, Washwoman blues. All of these songs were about the gripping life of prisons, even in the 20s, around black life, not only in the South, but also in the eastern states. And so, it shows you the power of the blues at that time, dealing with something that was tragic in society, but using it as a form way of exposing it. So, these race records broke outside of the black neighborhood, and people just loved the music, they loved what they were hearing. Maybe the message was being lost, but nonetheless, the power of the blues that was coming from these records and from the juke joints and largely from the church halls on Sunday were based on the blues and the power and the majesty of that. And so I wanted to play that because, as you all have been saying, the blues is communication. the blues is a form of storytelling. It's effective, it's simple, in the sense of its organization and form. So, any other lasting, yeah?
To me, it gives you the feeling of the soul that you share your own individuality without knowing that you're sharing.
That's very good, because we are sharing, and our goal is to, for me, is to make her sound really good, and her goal is to make me sound good, so that we both sound good. And the thing is, you know, I get calls sometimes from like Google. We'll go in and we'll do a presentation on improvisation, because they want their employees to see another creative way of working together. That's improvisation in nature, because improvisation is all around us. Rarely does life work out the way we plan it. So we have to have the flexibility, we have to have the humility to be able to make quick, informed, intelligent changes. And so, you know, we go in and we talk to companies like Google. We got a call from a company called IDEO, just so their employees can see how we communicate on stage and work together, because it's very natural. It's all about respect. It's all about building. No one's trying to sabotage each other. And every time we touch our instrument, I swear, we play it like it's the last time we're going to play, no matter where. It's something that you don't even think about. It becomes like, oh my goodness, I could fall dead right now. So if this is going to be my last solo, it's going to be the greatest. You know, it's like no matter where you are. What's up, Dave?
What's up, Dave?
What's up, Dave? And so that's a very good observation.
I have a question. You had mentioned that blues like Washwoman Blues, Sing Sing Blues had Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith, had these women spent time in jail?
I know Bessie Smith did. She had color for character, and she's been accused of killing a man and all kinds of stuff. And she had a very, very colorful character. She died fairly young. I don't know about Mamie Smith, although that world was all around them. But the thing is, either they had spent time in prison, or they knew some family member who had spent time in prison, or they knew someone who was getting ready to go to prison, or they knew somebody that was just getting out of prison. Because there's almost two different realities in our society. In black households, most black people know someone in prison, or they know someone coming out of prison. There's no stigma to that, because we know people, family members, people directly family members, good friends. When you talk about the numbers of our community that are in prison, it's astronomical based on our percentage in this country as a population. We make up 12, 13% of the population, but we make up almost 50, 60% of the prisoners. All right? So most of us know someone in prison. And then you talk to people, they don't know anybody in prison. They never heard of anyone going to prison. It's always been this dark. I mean, one of our biggest marks on our record is Guantanamo Bay to me. Don't nobody talk about it. Don't nobody care about it. You know, they're not putting away Americans there, right? Not even on the mainland, it's hidden away. These are human beings. When you read about the gulags of the early 20th century, we have our own. We only have our own gulag over here right next to Cuba, Guantanamo Bay, where we have people indefinitely in prison. No charges. People just sitting there. Some of these were kids when they went there, who might have been rat on by somebody who wasn't even involved in a war on terror. This is actually a true case. There's some young people that got people are getting bought off just to tell on people. You know, so we can just capture as many people as we can and put them in this secret prison where no one's being accounted for. And there's not an argument, there's not a discussion, because we don't see that as being a problem for us. We're supposed to put bad people away, right? Yeah. Guantanamo is the sort of exaggerated, sort of the blown version of our prisons in society, which has the same, remove them. And if we remove them, we remove the problem. No, we're exasperating the problem. When these people go to jail, many of these people going for nonviolent crimes, maybe it's drugs, whatever the case may be, but they go to prison, they become harder. They learn how to become even more hardened criminals, how to steal better, how to rob better, in some cases, how to be more violent. Because if you're around only that, especially when there are no programs for rehabilitation. So, anyway, any other quick musical? Oh, yeah.
So, my question is, as artists, like, how can we use art and also music as a catalyst to propel the movement in social justice?
Well, it's happening. It's got to be consistent, in my opinion. You know, this ain't, whatever we're doing here is not innovative or new. Rodesso Jones, who's a local artist, she's been doing this for 30 years. Angela Davis has been advocate for prison justice for 50 years, having spent time in prison herself. And then there's people like Joanna Haygood, the local choreographer. She's doing work around ending the death penalty. Stephen Anthony Jones. There is a plethora of artists throughout the nation. We attended a Arts in Corrections conference in the spring. You see people from Alabama. You see people down in LA, New York, all over who are going in. So what can we do? Angela Davis said, since they're not going to open the prisons and let most of our nonviolent prisoners out, then we need to go knocking on the prison doors and go in. Take our talents, not just music, but what we do in life that we know a kid might go, you know what, I want to do that. I can see myself doing that. You know, when all they see themselves doing is selling drugs, that's what they're going to do. All right, but if they see other options, these kids were, where is destiny? Where is destiny? Just taking this instrument in there, you know, you never know. Jackie came in there, she read a poem, and one of the young kids came up there and go, you know, that poem reminded me of my ex-girlfriend who's a Latin jazz singer. You already see the wheels turning in their head about possibilities, about what they can do. But there's so much trauma in their life. So much trauma from an early age, violence, trauma from the media, from the environment, from just all around them. That's all they know. And all the stories are similar. They start off, they do something small, and it escalates. They break probation, or they get sent back to juvenile hall, let alone let them get a felony, because then it's over. They get a job, in case they don't go to school. All of those then just blunt a pathway to success at an early age. So going in, taking our instruments, and just treating them like individuals. So when they do their raps, they'll do a spitter rap. It's all violent. You know, they talk about everything under the sun. But I let them do that, because if you keep telling them, you can't say that, then they never get it out of their system. They don't know. They're just itching to express themselves. So they say that, and then we analyze what they do. Oh man, let me tell you something. The way you use those subdivided rhythms is what Coltrane did. The way you were able to use polyrhythms in the middle of that rap, oh man, that's what Louis Armstrong used in his rhythm. And the way you combined your lyricism, you know, you talk to them like the geniuses that they are and potentially can be, you can change that dynamic.